Silver Queen.
You died. I went to your funeral.
The city needs saving.
What happened? You have the right to remain silent, but
I don't
I'm
want
not
to
a
call
god
it anymore.
I'm from the future.
Because you can
And in the
inspire
future,
people.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
Supergirl.
you people become a team.
Hey, cuz.
It's good to see you.
This looks like a job for the both of us.
None of you heroes. You're legends.
You have failed this city. I don't want to be called out.
All right, welcome everybody to DC on CW, the Legends of Tomorrow edition. I am your host this week, Michael Flores, and I am in studio with Lauren Alexander.
Hello.
And Bobby Doherty. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Lots to get through this show. We have some ratings talk as well as some in-depth discussion on our guest role of Jonathan Schick's portrayal of Jonah Hex. He has returned for his second appearance in the role, and I'm going to focus a lot. I'm warning you guys now. We're going to talk a lot about Jonah Hex because we actually got a little bit of an origin-ish story on Jonah Hex, which is a pretty big deal for this type of character to have his origin kind of revealed in the episode. So we're going to get into that. I want to welcome all my Weird West radio fans. I know you guys will be tuning in this week for Jonah Hex. You guys were already excited, so thank you. And if you're not watching Legends of Tomorrow on a regular basis, please do. It's a fun show, right?
Fun. Yes.
Yeah, that is my selling point for this show. Is it's a fun ride. It's fun.
Yeah, it very is fun. And that's something they continued this week. They give you and they deliver to you what you want. It's clever. It's funny, and it's just enjoyable. And that's what sometimes you want. And this is the type of show that has it. I mean, we have Damien Dark popping in. We have Reverse Flash popping in. We're going to get Snart pretty soon. As I said the last time I hosted this show, this is like the who's who of DC. You don't know who's going to pop in.
Yeah, it's the bullpen.
Yeah.
Keep the characters warm.
Yeah.
Remember this guy? Remember this guy?
Yeah.
You like this guy, don't you?
It's tryouts. That's what Legends of Tomorrow is. It's tryouts.
Well, yeah, and I think you got that last season with Jonah Hex, and then they came back and were like, okay, Jonah Hex went over real well. Here's a little more about him. Do you want to know more about him? Here's a little bit more.
Yeah, and not only is Jonathan's portrayal good of Jonah Hex, but he's very involved, and you and I were talking about this off air, Bobby, that can make or break an actor who's trying to get relevant within a fandom.
Yeah.
You have a lot of actors on CBS and ABC that they don't pay attention. They don't give a shit. They have their managers and PR agents running their social media. They're not involved. And a lot of times that hurts their show and their careers. Unfortunately, social media and your popularity can help you have longevity as an actor nowadays and give longevity to your show that you're on.
Yeah, and promote a character, anything. And he's always been pretty good to us.
Yeah,
like every time we've tweeted at him or anything, he's always responded, retweeted, done his kind of his due diligence. Yeah,
he's very gracious to the fans. He doesn't ignore, he pays attention and retweets and it's so silly for like the fans to get excited about that, but we do. Like when someone acknowledges you that you're watching on TV and not because we have some type of idol worship or like, oh my God, it's an actor. It's not about that. It's about that you're playing a role that we really are into. And it's just a certain amount of respect that they acknowledge that you appreciate the work they're doing.
It's cool when they care about their roles too. Like not just us as fans, but that they care enough about their role and their job and they're invested enough into it that it almost starts to feel like maybe they're a little bit a fan of it as well. And not of themselves per se, but of the role and of the show.
Yeah.
So it's like almost a sense of camaraderie with them. Like, yeah, I also love it. So
yeah, most definitely. It works. Now, we do have a little bit of news before we break down this week's episode titled Outlaw Country. I want to talk a little bit about ratings and the move that will be happening come after holiday season, post-holiday season, for Legends of Tomorrow. They're going to be moving to Tuesday nights. Is that correct, Bobby?
Yes.
Now, I have an article here from comicbook.com. DC Entertainment and the CW currently have an impressive block of primetime superhero TV running Monday through Thursday with Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow in the lineup. However, it looks as if that lineup is about to be shaken up. As the fall season cancellations begin and the midseason change-ups for early 2017 are announced, Deadline reports that beginning January 24th, Legends of Tomorrow will be moving from Thursdays at 8 p.m. to Tuesdays at 9 p.m. following The Flash. There is rumors going around, circulating, that they're doing that for a lot of reasons. Obviously, we already know as a CW viewer that they've pushed a lot of shows back to winter and did a lot of shuffling, a lot more than they usually do before the fall season started to make room for Supergirl. And not only make room for Supergirl, but also the fact that Legends of Tomorrow was also not on the schedule last year at this time.
Yeah, it was always a half-season, mid-season replacement show.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and they bumped Originals and iZombie and one other show to the fall, and the 100, I believe, to the winter and summer months. So, I think what you're going to be seeing here is the ratings have dropped across the board for DC content on CW, and I don't think that has anything to do with the quality. I think far from it. I think it's just a lot of TV viewing, period. And the election, a lot of people's minds have been focused elsewhere. But they can't sit down. Unfortunately, executives at CW, they don't have the luxury to kind of sit back and, let's just wait. They can't do what we're doing right now. And it could be the election. They have to make changes.
Yeah.
So they're hoping by putting Legends on Tuesday with Flash, that'll help kind of spike both of their ratings because there's a combo block of DC content, which I think is going to be fun. I think, honestly, Flash is a fun show. Legends is a fun show. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
And it's a good lead-in. Maybe people weren't watching it.
Yeah, maybe people weren't watching and maybe more will because they'll go, oh, hey, this is on after Flash. Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, because they'll have those and next on Legends of Tomorrow, you know, and they'll lead right into it.
I know I would. I mean, I'm one of those, I like watching the shows live because I'm one of those guys that like to do the live tweeting and seeing what the actors are tweeting during the show. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, because we do so much shows on the for the network, I don't have the luxury to do that. So I end up watching on demand. But I know if I was a live viewer, which we know most people do still watch live, then there's a little bit of excitement. I know when you turn your DVR box on, you're like, ooh, yes, 2 new shows I'm going to watch back to back. It just makes your night a bit.
Yeah.
You get yourself some food, some snacks, drinks, and you sit back, you're going to have some pretty solid entertainment for the next 2 hours. Now, the show has lost half of its overall viewers since the series premiere and is down in their key demos. So, yeah, we're going to be seeing some shuffling. I don't think, and I think we were talking about this off air as well before the show started, I don't think we're going to get any, I don't think anybody should throw their hands out in despair. The show isn't in fear, I don't believe, of being canceled.
I'm actually looking at an article updated from yesterday's, and they're 5th right now as far as the CW shows.
Yeah,
within
they're still above all their other programming.
Yeah, within the the pain range, the 18 to 49. That demo, and they're only 0.4 behind Supernatural and 0.5 behind Arrow.
Yeah,
so it's not like they're doing bad,
right? And as we said, there's a lot of choices just with DC shows, and I don't know if these are those numbers you're looking at. Are they including plus 7 day as well, DVR?
No, it's just on what is it, Zap It?
Yeah,
or one of those that has the is it on safe ground numbers? And so it just kind of after week 8, which was this week, is it still on safe ground? So.
And you also have, of course, the shift from Hulu to the CW, and I know that was a massive discussion going on that we were doing, whether or not we would see a ratings shakeup because the CW has decided to do away with their partnership with Hulu altogether. And I know a lot of people that watch shows like this from multiple formats or mediums, I should say. I know I do. Yeah. If I happen to watch it live, I watch it on my TV. If I'm on the go at the gym, I'm going to watch it on Hulu. So nowadays, with all the different ways to watch the show, you can't really expect someone to want to watch from one medium when they've kind of molded us into expecting that we can watch it anywhere. And yeah, I'll take for example, my mother, she watches The Flash on Hulu. She didn't even know it was back because it wasn't on Hulu.
Yeah. So you wonder, like, Legends being short, and it's, 14 or 17 episodes. Mm-hmm. Is the 2-week thing going to apply for it? Like, is it going to show up on Netflix 2 weeks after the finale, or is it 2 weeks after the season?
Oh, that's, what?
Me and Lauren, I think, talked about it off air before Supergirl. That
explain the Netflix deal real fast.
So the Netflix deal says that any CW show the entire season will get released 2 weeks after the season finale airs.
Yeah, and
so we had talked about, we like to binge watch shows.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times we keep up to date on especially our 4 shows here because we have to come in and talk about them.
Right.
But the fact is, if we had the opportunity to wait, and watch other things, knowing that we could wait till that 2 weeks and not wait till the end of the summer or whatever and come back and watch them all at one time.
Yeah.
How many people are actually waiting for that?
Well, I think the important thing to point out about that is, for me personally, the reason that I would do that is because it's become so much less convenient for me to watch these shows, because I'm constantly in and out of my house. I'm constantly like, oh, tonight I have to go run this errand or do this thing, or I have to meet up with this person. I have lunch with family, and then that pushes back the rest of my day. Like, my schedule is not consistent every single, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I can't guarantee that I'm going to be in front of my TV watching cable. I actually didn't even hit me until last week while we were talking off air that I fucking have cable.
She looked at me. She's like, I have cable. I'm like, yeah, it comes free with your internet. She's like, I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah. With the deal that I have. Yeah, it does. It's like basically free, but,
interesting. Yeah. See, I didn't think about that, but you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because society and how we digest television content has drastically changed over the last couple of years, to where more and more people are the binge watchers. Yeah. And that would make sense if people do know now with that deal, because they stopped the deal with Hulu, CW, so that they could make room for their app to grow. And also they made that deal with Netflix where they're getting these shows 2 weeks after the season ends. I mean, I can see a lot of people doing that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
especially during the summer months when there's almost nothing on to watch.
Exactly. And it just feels, it's like, it might be kind of childish to phrase it this way, but it almost feels like punishment for them to take Hulu away from us, like.
Yeah, I get it.
I can't stay up to date on them as conveniently now.
Yeah,
because I don't have DVR. I'm not going to fucking pay for DVR. Yeah. When I can watch the rest of the shows that I watch on TV on Hulu or Netflix, with the exception of AMC shows. Like, I have HBO Go too. So like, this is, I have all these apps where I stream all my shows. Why are you not letting me do that now? Unless I do, the CW app. And at that point, I'm like sitting through 7 ads each time. 7.
And you know what? I've been a guy that was kind of waving the flag for the CW app. And now I'm a little annoyed with it, because
if it was 1 or 2 ads every couple minutes, or every 10 minutes or whatever, that's fine. But it's 7 ads at every single break.
You try to fast forward to a spot where you left off, and then it shows 3 commercials before it actually turns on.
That's the biggest problem with it. And also, they revamped it, and they've definitely improved it from last year, without a doubt. They have. But there's still some kinks in terms of bandwidth. I don't know if you've noticed, but depending on how much bandwidth you have, how fast your internet speed is, the commercials will pause, and then once they're paused, you're fucked, because it starts over, and then the commercial ends up playing 3 times over and over and over. I'm watching the same commercial,
the same Target commercial for buy one get one free pizzas.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then you're watching a show that should only be 42 minutes, and if you watched it live, it would only be 60 minutes. I'm taking an hour and 15 minutes now to watch a show, because the commercials, the show doesn't do that when you're watching the show.
Yeah,
but the commercials freeze up on me every single time. So there's definitely some work they need to do on the app. And if anybody's listening, which I know we have CW people, circulating our shows in and out, I don't care. Get that shit fixed.
Yeah,
that's important.
If you're trying to be the leader and go to the future of this being the way to get your TV, it's got to work right, or people are just going to throw it away.
Exactly. You know what? Enough's bitching. Let's go to a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to get really happy and giddy when we discuss Jonah Hex and the rest of the episode. We'll be right back.
I guess I'll bone up on the ballet. Gideon, bone me.
DC on CW. We'll be right back.
Have you missed an episode of DC on CW? Catch up on all of our discussions from Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. Just search DC on CW on iTunes and Stitcher. You can also find it on the Rain Man digital app. Just search Rain Man Digital from the iTunes App Store or Google Play.
From the Bacta tank.
That's what gave me the chills back in the day with Empire Strikes Back. Yoda talking about all the spiritual elements of the Force. And so, talking about the Force is everywhere. It's in that rock, in that tree.
Yeah.
It's around you. It's around me.
It's in your penis.
It's in your penis.
Use
now
it.
Release it.
Use it on Jen asshole. Execute Order 66 on her asshole.
Go into her dark cave.
Oh. Your blaster you will not need. What's inside? Whatever you take.
Whatever you take.
Luke confronts a big old penis. We just lost all credibility once again.
Listen to the Star Wars from the Bacta tank late night replay Monday through Friday, starting at 1 a.m. Pacific, only on Rain Man Channel 001. Listen from the Rain Man digital app or tune in. Just search RN Channel 001. Listen up, cowboys and cowgirls. You can now listen to Weird West Radio every Sunday.
And if you look, it's almost like a dystopian type society, social stratification, dystopian societies, and if people aren't quite familiar with them and how they work. But dystopian fiction frequently draws stark contrast between the privileges of the ruling class and the dreary existence of the working classes. Okay, so Maeve hatches her escape plan. A little light on Maeve this week, but heavy on the bush.
And again, it's HBO. We didn't get to see nothing.
No, I know. What's up with this?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We get to see Stan. Well, we got to see. Tandy Newton's not afraid. He's not afraid to show bush and boobs. Bush and boobs. That sounds like a new strip club I'm going to open up.
Well, there you go.
Maybe that's what Jonathan Nolan's going to do if this show doesn't work out. He's like, well, you know what? I'm going to open up a strip club called Westworld Bush and Boobs. Come on, everybody. Come on over to Bush and Boobs.
It's not that smart for you. It's Bush and Boobs, flat out.
Catch Weird West Radio, the Westworld edition, every week on Rain Man Digital. Just search Weird West Radio on iTunes and Stitcher or download the Rain Man Digital app. Just search Rain Man Digital from the iTunes App Store.
You're listening to Rain Man Digital's DC on CW.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to DC on CW, the Legends of Tomorrow edition. We are going to be jumping into episode 6 of season 2, Outlaw Country. The Legends find Jonah Hex in trouble with his arch nemesis Quentin Turnbull when they arrive in the Old West. Now, we quickly find out that more time pirates are fucking shit up. Apparently, the United States drastically has changed in the favor of this ruthless Turnbull, and due to his findings. Now, Turnbull, briefly, I want to touch on this, is played by Jeff Fahey. And I have to say, where was the marketing on that?
Yeah, it was one of those, when they showed him, I was like, hey, that's a movie guy.
Jeff Fahey's amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, why aren't they, where was that guy running around doing the press?
No promotion.
No.
Not one word. That when we heard about Dolph, for Arrow.
Yeah.
Jeff Fahey's big.
We never covered that in any of our stories over the summer as a casting, and we look for this stuff
completely under the radar.
Yes,
which I'm amazed, and I don't even see when I was looking up reviews for this week's episode, because I like to kind of get the general consensus of how everyone's feeling about the episode. Everybody was super amped on his performance. You know, they said basically similar to how I felt about it. Like Jeff Fahey managed to take kind of a character that was light on development and he managed to make it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Cause his screen presence is pretty damn powerful. He has he's perfect for the Western. I mean, he has that Western swagger.
Well, he did Wyatt Earp back in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and he's been in Justified, which is starting to make me think somebody in the DC camp loves Justified, because this is like, I don't know if you know this. Have you guys ever watched Justified on FX with Timothy Oliphant?
I've only seen like an episode, but I know of it.
They've gotten now 5 or 6 cast members now, which is interesting because FX is not a Vancouver show.
Yeah, it's not from the Vancouver pool of actors.
Right. They're based in LA and where they shot. So their talent is coming from the LA talent pool. So it's kind of funny. It's making me think that Greg Berlanti, he's got to be a Justified fan because he is jamming these shows up with Justified alumni.
It's either him or whoever's in charge of casting.
Yeah, because Damien Dark, he was from Justified too, played just a fantastic villain in that show as well. But now Turnbull has disrupted time stream because he has met up with a time pirate. The time pirates has given Turnbull access to a dwarf star meteorite, the same substance that Ray used in very small quantities to create the Atom suit. And now he's using the dwarf star to create exploding bullets and generally take over the West. Now, from a Weird West angle, guys, I know you guys aren't Weird West fanatics, but meteorite-laced bullets. That is a page taken from the dime novels of the old days. I mean, that's just fantastic pop literature to use as source to then say, hey, we got a dwarf star laced bullet. I was pretty damn giddy when he blasted a hole right through the saloon.
Yeah.
And the visual effects on it was just fantastic. So I was pretty excited about that.
Blasted a hole right through steel.
Yeah. Now...
That scared me, by the way.
I know.
Yeah. This is where the team comes in, though, because obviously, as we know, they're watching the aberrations, and this particular aberration ends up being connected to Jonah Hex. And this is where Jonah Hex comes into the equation. Now, we're going to skip around about a little bit here and there because I want to get into the origin story that was dropped on us for Jonah Hex. Hex's first Legend episode didn't really do much, I don't believe, for Jonah's character. He was just kind of a vessel to explore more of Rip's backstory.
Yeah.
This episode, though, gives us a kind of a first proper look at the character and who he really is. I mean, I'm talking in all facets. You were able to get more from him in this episode, not just in terms of a slight development, but just acting. Can you guys tell that he was way more comfortable in the Jonah Hex shoes this week?
Oh, yeah. It seemed, not that he seemed uncomfortable last time, but there was a clear improvement.
Yeah, because that's what I was talking to a buddy of mine online about it. And as I was talking about it, it kind of started feeling like I was talking bad about his first performance. And that wasn't the case. He was good and he was convincing as Jonah Hex. But this was totally different. It could be the writing, could be the directing, but I have to believe, at least at first viewing, that it's more or less just that fact that Jonathan has gotten more comfortable in the role. I think after going on, a year now, probably preparing and working through the role and saying, this is what I want to do now with it, possible feedback from Jonah Hex fans, who knows?
Yeah.
These are the things actors do to improve their craft. And you can tell now the Hex we got was a lot more relaxed. It felt like he was Hex rather than trying to be Hex.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Now, the origin story is going to be a little bit of a stickler, I know, for a lot of Hex fans, and that's why we kind of need to bring it in. Were you raised? Go ahead, Lauren.
No, I am stretching.
Okay.
I am stretching back here. You are good. Continue on.
All right.
Fearless leader.
Because I think a lot of people, I haven't heard any complaints yet, and I think we've all become accustomed to the fact that when you're doing shows on TV and movies, you're going to have to mess around and play with their backstories and origin stories. For whatever reason, legal reasons, maybe it just doesn't work right for television. We don't know. Sometimes things look great in comic books, or they even play well in a comic book, but then it doesn't really translate over to, the visual medium. So for whatever reason, I think we all can agree that they've messed and tweaked with origin stories quite a bit. There's nothing new. They're not doing any unjust to the Hex character. But as we know, Jonah Hex, they explain that Turnbull, Fahey's character, is the one who actually was responsible for giving him the scar across the face, where he was locked up in a church and was burned across the face. And that was enough for me, being a Hex fan, to kind of get a little giddy. But at the same time, they took away from some pretty damn cool origin stories for Hex. So his origin stories have already changed quite a bit throughout the years. But I know a big popular one, and jump in here and correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren. I feel like I'm talking way too much. But if I'm wrong here, but one of the big origin stories is the Mark of the Demon, which was a very big one. And it's a new one, but it was something that connected pretty well with, I know, the Hex fans.
The New 52 Jonah Hex did actually get kind of a lot more fans from what I saw, too.
Yeah.
Like I think fans of Jonah Hex prior, I didn't really hear any overwhelmingly negative feedback from them about it. And I know that when Jonah Hex came back in New 52, it kind of gathered some new fans as well. Overall, it's still not their number one seller.
No.
It's not Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, etc.
Right.
So they did ultimately cancel it, and it has not come back since.
Yeah, which is surprising with the new revamping of DC again.
Yeah. Well, I think they'll maybe work their way through it to like a mini series or something, because like they did a mini series for Swamp Thing recently.
Yeah.
That was kind of a more original creative team. But Swamp Thing is not really in his own title right now. And that's, an older classic character too. That's something that's a staple in DC's world, but it just doesn't resonate with people the same way like their superhero books do. The market's changing. There's a lot of different things that they're including instead of just the superhero stuff. And they have to compete with indie comics too. I mean, you've got stuff like East of West and
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to find a good niche, and sometimes it just doesn't work as an ongoing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes something like Jonah Hex is better left in little pieces, little story arcs, little, miniseries.
Yeah, get somebody like a Kevin Smith or, one of those writers that do those for, but I'm just saying.
Maybe not Kevin Smith.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just, the writers that they bring in for those those short runs that can maybe give it a boost.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Lansdale is a known pulp writer who's fantastic, and he's tried his hand at Jonah Hex several times. And I actually had an interview with him, and he did a lot of some of the Hex work in the early 2000s and 90s. And I mean, I was an advocate, I should say, for him to take over the screenplay writing for the next movie if they end up doing it, because this guy has a handle on what Hex is, pulp fiction in general, and of course the Weird West. Now, getting back into the New 52 origin story, I'm going to read a little bit about how he was created in that version, and then we can then compare the differences. His facial injuries can be traced back to being sold into slavery by his father to the Apache for safe passage. Jonah eventually saved the chief from being killed by a mountain lion and was made an honorary member of the tribe. Inevitably, he was then betrayed, and the chieftain took a tomahawk, and burned him across the face. So that's how he got his scar then. Then, of course, in the mid-2000s, which is one of the more popular versions of how he got his scar, and that was, I believe, what we saw in the movie, and it was done by a Confederate soldier who scalded him across the face to punish him. And I think that's more the inspirations they drew from for this week's episode, I would have to say. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I like evil Confederate soldiers. I think it has a nice little flair to it. I would have liked them to kind of keep that angle a bit.
That's why you wanted them in the Nazi episode?
Yeah.
I mean, not the Nazi, the
Zombie
zombie episode.
Yeah. Now, I want to get you guys' opinions on this next bit here. In terms of the origin story and how it was briefly said, I got my scar because of this. Now, again, is it just me wanting more Jonah Hex, or is it okay that we didn't see anything else in terms of his origin and how he got the scar? Don't you think it would have been a little more powerful if we took 5 seconds to see some type of flashback scene?
You said the magic word right there.
Yeah.
We hate fucking flashbacks.
Well, I do too, but
the fact, was it needed for the story that was going on there. You know, they're doing they're looking at whatever caused the time quake.
You guys got to help me stay balanced here.
I think for Jonah Hex as a character, he's so like, I don't know, bottled up and stoic and doesn't really want to talk about his feelings like he says to Sarah. You know, I think it has more impact for him to share it rather than us seeing it.
Yeah.
Well, that and you've really never seen an origin story on Legends.
Yeah.
You know, all these characters were set up on another show and brought in.
Yeah.
You know, even when
Steel is the first one.
Yes. Yeah.
But we saw Steel's origin.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't go back and see how Stargirl became or how Vixen became.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's always
she talked about it briefly.
That's true.
It's always been,
it's me being a Jonah Hex homo. Like, I just want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting it.
I want it bad.
Give it to me now.
Please, Hex, please. Give it to me. No. Scar me. Scar me.
Gross.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Just like burn me like one of your people.
Oh, man. Now, moving from Hex, let's move into Nate. He's quickly becoming a character I like. In a lot of ways, though, they got to be careful because he is becoming dangerously close and similar to Brandon's character. Ray Palmer. And I think it's charming right now, and I think it works. The dynamic that they're putting them together, I think because they're kind of similar in a lot of ways, it works. But at the same time, he might right now. Ray's my favorite. He's one of my favorites. But Nate and the way he plays that kind of naive, fun-loving, I just want to help people out. It works for his character. But they got to be careful because we already have one. We already have one like that.
Do you think? Do you think now that, you know, Ray made him a suit this episode, do you think now that he has his suit, first of all, he's taking risks, he's trying new things and kind of discovering who he is as a person now that he's physically altered and as a hero. So do you think now, you know, given those risks that he's taking and given that he now has a suit and he'll feel like a full-fledged hero alongside them, do you think he'll sort of start to find himself more and branch off from that, you know, personality type that he and Ray share?
Yeah, I could see it because it does seem a lot, the way they're building those characters up together this year, it does seem kind of like a dual narrative side by side to kind of, they're kind of relying on each other and learning from each other. I think they're both struggling with insecurities and wanting to do more than they humanly can. That's how Commander Steel, is that his name? Nate. And that's how he was even introduced to us. And that's, again, something that we saw with Ray Palmer from the very beginning. He's always struggled to be something more. He wants to be something great and remembered and revered, it seems like, at times as a superhero, because I think sadly, both of them seem to measure their self-worth based on their superhero-ness. You know, so in that regard, I think them, you know, playing side by side works really well. And I think eventually, I think you hit it on the head, Lauren. I think eventually they'll kind of veer. They'll veer off.
You know, I'm kind of thinking that maybe Ray will start to veer off and change too, because he's been a mentor this season, which is odd for him. He's normally like a fresh-faced newbie. Yeah. You know, that's normally him going, oh, well, I didn't know. You know, I mean, he's smart, but he doesn't necessarily have all the experience in life and death situations as some of them do and stuff like that. So, but yeah, he's definitely, I think losing his suit is affecting him in a way that we're going to see a little bit of a different Ray as well. I think he's not going to be so naive and he'll still have that air about him of, hope and positivity and optimism, but I think he's going to kind of mature a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense, and that's why this show has been fun for me to watch. The fact that they are maturing and growing as characters is something that I have enjoyed watching in this show, because as we get by, and we haven't really had a whole bunch of episodes, and we were only on, what is this technically? Like episode 20, technically, episode 23 maybe. So we just are now reaching a typical full season order of episodes. And even though we feel like we've watched a full season, we're still seeing these characters in progress at a very young, early stage in their development as characters. And one thing that I've really enjoyed, specifically in this episode, it kind of sunk in, is that you're seeing these characters pair off at different moments. And those moments are so expertly timed with the writers to where each one will help the other one in their own personal expertise, or maybe even a particular problem they're struggling with. It's a mirror reflection of what the other person is struggling with at that moment. Yeah. And then once they help and fix, they put the Band-Aid on their partner, the writers then take the character away from that and then pair them with the next guy.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
It's really cool. I mean, this team is more of a team than any of the other shows.
I was about to say that. Absolutely.
I've said that before, and I will continue to say it. These guys all, like, even with Amaya coming in and Nate, they've taken them in and gone, listen, we've gone through this with other people before. We've gone through this with each other. We're here for you if you need it. This is how this person is. This is how I am. This is how that person is. And kind of find your place. Let us know if you need anything. Like, they just... they trust each other.
Yeah, and that's something that we're not used to seeing.
Yeah, because trust is one of the major rifts between characters in all the other teams. It's going to be now in Supergirl too.
Yeah,
which is something that we didn't have in the first season. Everyone trusted each other in the first season, and now, you know, we've got characters kind of keeping secrets and going off on their own little subterfuge things. Like, that's what makes Legends so refreshing. You get to see these characters work together as the heroes that you expect them to be and that you know they are. And yes, they still have their moments of weakness. Yes, they still have their insecurities, but it's not with each other. It's their own personal demons.
Very personal, yeah.
Do you think that has to do with them being in the ship? Like, they're living together, you know, so
Could be.
You know, that they have to write them kind of that way.
Well,
it makes sense.
To.
Yeah.
It could go one of two ways. It could go, they're either very close or infighting constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you brought up Amaya and her character, and whoever decided to drop her in the show and the way they're utilizing her needs to be commended. I don't know what writer came up with. I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but a lot of times showrunners will let writers kind of create their own character, and it's their character. They'll write for them specifically.
Yeah.
And the way they're using her, as if you realize they didn't have this character last year, she's almost like the thread of the story arc, and she's weaving all the characters and their issues and the main plot of the storyline together. She's that needle and thread.
Yeah.
Whether she's not the main focus, but she's the one who talks and connects people's problems. She deals with one person, she goes to the next. In a lot of ways, she's the eyes of the audience. Just like she's getting to know these people and how they operate and their internal demons, we are her. That's who we are. They're using her to explore these different character issues.
Well, it's cool because she's kind of like a more experienced version of us.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, yeah, absolutely, she is. She's getting to know them the same way that we would. She's going through all of that with them. But on the other hand, too, I think what's really cool is that she's able to give the characters perspective, because she was also on a superhero team, and it was, I'd say, government backed and stuff like that. You know, I mean, it was a serious business superhero, Justice Society of America. They were respected. They were known. They were, you know, heroes. And she's had that. But it was different for her because they weren't allowed to really, it wasn't encouraged for them to really be, first of all, in relationships or friends. And, so it's cool. They get to learn from each other in that way, but she definitely does get to offer insight on, you know, okay, well, here's what it's like to be from a different team.
Yeah. She's definitely a smart, creative writing device that they're using, for sure. I mean, even with how she's interacting with Mick, she's doing, I mean, last year, I think we all enjoyed Mick's performance and who he was, but we're really getting into who he is as a person and his personal problems this season even more. And the poor guy already had issues, as we know, but now you see him struggling, and it was made clear in last week's episode, he's actually struggling with the loss of his buddy, of his friend. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping they didn't forget that, because
they were partners. They were like brothers.
Yeah, and it would feel just kind of shallow and superficial if they just glossed over it. And I'm glad they brought it back up, and to show us that he is going through, you know, a mourning period, that he lost his buddy, a guy that was actually the only guy that was actually able to convince him to kind of go straight.
Yeah.
You know, to be a good guy. Hey, it's not bad being a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, and to have that type of power as a friend to almost, I guess, help Mick turn over a new leaf in life. it shows you how important Snart was to him as a friend.
Which I think is setting us up for how hard he's going. I'm sure you were probably going to say the same thing. Yeah. How hard he's going to take it when they meet the Legion of Doom, when they meet that other Snart.
Okay, so I'm not the only one getting excited for that because that's all I'm thinking. When Mick is depressed and he's struggling with fitting in, and he still wants to.
It's tough.
Yeah, like it's going to be a powerful moment to see a guy like Mick, who's trying to heal and recover, and he's doing something that he probably would never have been in if it wasn't for Snart, and now he sees the Legion of Doom version of Snart, which I have to believe is a past version of him. It wouldn't make sense if he was bad and he never died. I mean, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be fun to see them play off on each other, and how one guy's the good guy now, Snart's the bad guy again, and it's going to be interesting to see how Wentworth Miller plays as Snart now being a bad guy. And Mick's going to try to convince him that this isn't who he is.
It's running into that ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be like, hey, I've changed a little bit.
Yeah.
You look good still. So how's it going for you?
Yeah.
That whole awkward conversation.
Yeah, it's fun. And I have to keep saying this, but he is one of the most interesting characters to me. I like all the legends, but I think, I go back and forth between him and Ray. And of course I like Sarah, but my favorite is, between Ray and Mick is just so damaged. And I love my characters damaged.
Yeah.
I think they're always the most interesting.
I think Mick would be the one that I would miss the most if they said we're retooling Legends and we're bringing in a whole new cast next year.
They can't do that.
But you know what I mean, though?
Absolutely.
If they went with the whole original theory of the show.
I'd become a Legends of Tomorrow troll. I'd be on Twitter hating.
Start a new subreddit.
Save Mick. Bring back Mick.
I would do it. Have you ever taken a part in anything like that?
No.
Yeah, good.
I don't know what you mean by taking a part in something.
Like being a troll and doing a campaign to bring back Elicity or something.
Yeah, I'm not forwarding some hashtags.
No, I was like, I've taken part in trying to help boost social media stuff to show support for a show like Constantine. When they were doing the whole Save Constantine thing, I was
I've done it that way.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean take part? Because I've done that.
That's different. No, that's different. That's just wanting your show back.
But like trolling and just, well, the network really sucks because they don't listen to me individually.
Yeah. I want Mick and Snart back together. That was my ship. I called it Mart.
My OTP.
Mart. That's a terrible ship. Are they shipping those? That's got to be a ship out there, right? There's got to be people shipping that for fan fiction.
Bobby's going to find out right now.
I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
Would you go with their real names or would you go with
Oh, no, you go with character names.
Captain
Cold and Heatwave?
Yeah. Captain Wave.
I don't know. See, that sounds too easy.
Too love buddy.
I think they would take Mick and Snart. I think that would make more sense.
Captain Cold and Heatwave. A love that defies elements.
Here's our...
That sounds like a 1980s Super Friends remix.
Yeah.
That's a drop, Lauren. I'm sorry. I'm going to put some music to it and everything. It's going to be a break.
All right. I've made my bed. I'll lie in it.
While you're looking that up, Bob, I'm going to move into Steins. Now, the flashback thing, this is something I've been waiting for in this show. I think they take time travel way too casually. Way too casual. They act like it ain't no thing.
Yeah.
The show this season's all about them correcting aberrations, right? And issues. That's their own responsibility that they gave to themselves. Let's make sure these time pirates and all these other people aren't messing up the timeline. But then they don't give two shits. They're not subtle at all. I mean, they were in the White House last week with heat wave guns, Mart, whatever you want to call them. That's what's the one for Brandon Routh's character? What's his name again? Palmer?
Ray Palmer?
Ray.
Yeah. Malmer? We'll call him Malmer. That's their ship. They were together fighting. It sounds good and sexy. It rolls off the tongue very well. Try it.
If you're a stutter or a retard, Malmer.
I think it works. So they were in the White House last week with no fucks given. They formed the atomic suit, whatever it's called, the fire suit, the Firestorm Matrix suit.
Yeah.
in the White House and then fly out the window. How many times have they done this? They did it during the French area in the past, in the first episode. They're not really thinking about the repercussions of someone seeing something so technologically advanced.
Those are aliens. That's how they explain all that stuff.
I mean, and also you don't know what you're leaving behind in way of bullets or anything. And these are all things. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, I could be just a time travel stickler, but these are all things that are stressed, and anything time related, not even other content, other shows, but even in shows like The Flash, they make it a point saying, hey, don't make any changes. Any little change could mess up the timeline.
Oh, you ate the M&Ms out of Reagan's bowl, which caused the bowl to get emptied earlier, which caused the guy to have to leave earlier, who got in an accident, who had the baby of this, So this flashback that Stein is suffering through, I think is a long time coming, and I think it needs to be done, and I'm hoping they actually have the balls to do away with his wife.
Yeah. Or, give him a wife or whatever the hell, Yeah. And I can already feel my heart sort of starting to break for him because he loves his wife more than anything.
And I would feel bad for him, but that's Shakespearean drama right there. Yeah. I mean, that's just what you got to do. As a writer, the hardest thing to do sometimes is kill characters or do something terrible to them. It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's what makes good writing and good drama. And just the fact that they have kind of, even though their heart's in the right place, they have kind of been negligent in how they handle things. They're not trained to do this job.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing the best that they can at this point now, going, no, we can't change stuff. But there is some inevitability there where, okay, there's a crisis that popped up here, and that's way more detrimental to the world. So you got to do what you got to do in order to stop it. You got to work with what you've got and try and do as little damage as possible. And so, yeah, I mean, I think before they were very negligible about it. Yes. And I think now they're starting to be a little more
careful.
Yeah.
A bit.
They're learning.
Yeah.
They're learning. They're starting to become a little more careful about it. But it's kind of impossible to not leave any sort of footprint.
Right. But because of that, though, don't you think that there's got to be
consequences?
There's got to be consequences.
I do. Yeah. I firmly believe that. And I think, as much as I want all of my characters on TV to live in some happy fantasy land where, they go through some minor issues, but nobody ever dies and they all live happily ever after, we do like to see the tragedy. We do like to see the drama, and it does. It is part of what makes good writing.
Yeah.
It's got to happen. And I think if you ignore it for too long too, I think the writers are at a point where they know that they've got to take something away from someone or change something, to show,
kill them off,
to show the consequences of changing time.
Yeah.
And maybe some of it's not even their fault. Maybe some of it is from the other people that are changing time, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In the scheme of things anyway.
Yeah. And, and you can go about having tragedy in a show multiple ways. It does it. I think that, ever since, Jack Bauer in 24 came onto the scene, killing characters has been, something that you just do.
Yeah.
They started it. Before that, it would be like, what? You kill a lead actor? No way. You can't do that. That's impossible. It'll never work. People quit watching the show. And then you have Jack Bauer annihilating everybody, and characters were dropping off like flies. That it started a trend now in TV to where it's almost commonplace to kill a character. And a lot of times as a viewer, I've become kind of like numb to it. So I think rather than killing a character, especially in a show that's dealing with time travel where it can be reversed and fixed, I think the stakes have been lost. Like there isn't that, like with Snart, it was very sad when he died, but I'm like, he'll be back. You know what I mean? I was like,
nothing's forever. We've seen too many characters come back.
Yeah. I mean, it was a powerful moment between him and Sarah. It was great. It was fantastic acting. But at the end of the day, I was like, he'll be back. We'll see him again. So instead of killing characters, if they go the route of doing irreversible changes to people's personal life, like Jax losing his mother, or like we saw Stein losing someone that he's been trying to protect since the show started, I think I would be okay with tragedy like that, even more so than death.
Those stakes are much higher.
Yeah.
That's you're losing the life you knew.
Yeah.
And I think that's even more that's sadder to me than someone dying, because at least you still have your your memories of them and with them, and no one can take that away from you. You will always have that. Even if they're no longer there, you still live the life you did with them. And while it's sad that they're not around anymore, that can't be taken away. But this, now we're looking at, it is being taken away. You know, how horrible must it feel to know that your memories of your life, your whole life with this person that you love and you've spent your time with and married, all of that is slipping away, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And you're learning all these new things too.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're losing
so
it
weird.
slowly and painfully.
And how do you go about fixing it as well? Like, let's say they say, hey, let's try to fix it.
I
Like,
mean, can you?
Where do you go? Where do you go to fix it? How can you pinpoint exactly when this started happening?
At what time you ran into
Gideon?
yourself and screwed it up.
Right. Yeah.
Well, because, I mean...
Well, I guess Gideon can, right? But she can't pinpoint all... I mean, would this be considered an aberration? It wouldn't, would it?
No, it's not. It's a minor ripple.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it is a minor one. And it's
in the grand scheme of things,
sort of
it is.
inevitable. Yeah. I mean, why are they going to fuck up time again just to save one person's memories?
Yeah.
I mean, they can't. And Gideon, while highly effective most of the time, is not a cure-all. You know, she can't fix everything for them.
No. Now, a big exciting moment for me, I know I got a quarter chub, was the crossover actually started in this show.
Yeah.
It did. I did not expect it. Yes, it's like, it was at the very end, but who cares?
Yeah.
I was excited.
We'll give it credit.
Yeah.
It was the last line, but still, you know, it already has me amped. I was like, oh shit, it's that time.
After I watched the preview and you can see Adam and Citizen Steel running around in the costume before they ever debuted it on the show. I was kind of like, oh, well, he has a costume on. And then I was like, you could have waited to put that out at the end of this show.
Real quick, I thought it was
Spoilers.
adorable that he like sketched his own little costume. I thought it was really cute.
Something Ryan would do.
Oh, no.
No, it is not.
He would
Ryan's
pay
not
somebody else
cute.
to do it.
He would.
He would pay someone else to do it.
I like how they're like Wonder Twins now, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, you guys look the same.
Yeah. It was a good ending, man. And that ending when Sarah walks in, so you guys done having your bromance.
I'd be like, no, I have to put this shit on.
Yeah.
He made that for me.
I also like, I mean, that's a perfect example of how one line ending an episode can get you really excited for what's coming next. All she said was, okay, well, if you're done, you know, and then here's the line, our friends back in 2016 need our help.
Yeah.
And with those few words, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
And that's what this show continues to do. Give little things like that makes the viewer and the fans get giddy, get excited.
It's a fan service show, sort of.
It kind of is.
Like, not in like a gross way.
No.
We all know what the gross way is. We don't have to talk about it. But
I want to say that's gross, necessarily. Depends who's doing the fan service. Right. No, I need to get Ryan in here. He'll play off on this.
God,
See,
yeah.
you didn't even come through on Mart. Did we find out who the shipping was?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, what is it?
You guys were talking.
Oh, what is it?
There's Icy Hot. There's Freezer Burn.
Oh my God.
Oh no, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Icy Hot.
I like
Icy Hot. Freezer Burn.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Cold Wave. Were the three that seem to be the most popular.
My vote is Icy Hot. I think I'm going to put some money on that one. I might even buy a shirt. I ship Icy Hot. I like that.
With just like the guns crossing
streams?
Yes.
Oh my God. Never cross streams.
Oh, it's so homoerotic. They did that. They do that intentional. Come on.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some technical goodies, and then we're going to close out the show. Production design. I know numerous people in this camp, our shows, had complaints last time they went to the Old West. I believe both times that the wardrobe was too new and fresh looking. The city was too new. Looks like they just built it. Do you think they improved upon that? If you were on that line of thinking, and what are your general thoughts on this week's production? Go, Bobby, first.
It definitely looked dirtier than it did last time. Okay. And they even brought it up when they stole the other clothes. Why do they smell like shit?
Yeah.
You know,
smell like crap.
Lauren, what do you think?
Honestly, I forgot that it didn't look as good last time.
I forgot I said that.
Yeah, same until you just reminded me.
You pointed it out and I was like, oh shit, I did say that, huh?
Everyone did. I think I was the only one that was okay with it. None of you guys liked the over clean city look or the clothes.
I wasn't super against it.
Yeah.
Angelica had a hate train for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I thought it looked good, and I did think it was funny and almost necessary for them when they're taking someone else's clothes and not the clothes off of the ship, off of the Wave Rider. You know, those clothes they might look a little dirty or whatever, but they're essentially clean.
I did like the clothes getting made again.
Yeah.
They need to do that more often where they're just kind of picking through hats and stuff.
Yeah. I think it's cool because, we don't need it all the time, but once in a while, yes, because it's
remind us.
Yeah. Remind us how they get their clothes. Not that there's just a stockpile, but the Wave Rider actually creates clothes for them for different time periods.
Yeah, I'm sold on the production design as well. I thought the wardrobe department. I wasn't against it last time around. I thought it looked pretty good. But I think this is their third time going into that I know it's not the old West. It's not, but that time period. I think this is the third time in, and I think third time's a charm. I think they had the set design down. The city looked fantastic. The background. I was looking at everything this time because of the complaints you guys had.
Saloon looked great.
Saloon was fantastic. Even the casting choices of the background were better. It was definitely a more dingy, grungy look to everybody. Jonah Hex even looked more dingier, right?
Yes.
Didn't he? Yeah,
he did look different, and I wasn't sure if it was because I didn't remember the last episode that well, but you kind of helped out there that yes, he was definitely different looking. Yeah,
so production design was top notch. All right, I think that's it for today. We need to get into final thoughts. Let's start with Lauren.
I don't know. I don't feel like I really ever have anything bad to say about this show. I loved this episode, and like you said, as far as production and stuff like that, I thought it was great. The visuals, none of them were bad. They were all pretty on par with what Legends brings to the table. The train, the Dwarf Star laced bullets exploding, I thought those were cool. The gray smoke and stuff. The writing was good. I mean, I felt invested in many different things. I felt invested in Jonah Hex as a character more so than last time. I felt invested in his struggle. I felt invested in all of the different character relationships, and I'm really concerned about Stein and his flashbacks and his memories kind of changing. Overall, I loved the episode.
All right, Bobby.
It was good. It made me worried at some point when Nate got shot. I was like, oh my gosh, they're killing him off already. Like, I believe that he was kind of in, some danger there. The train was excellent. That whole thing, the horse riding shot was kind of chintzy when he's trying to get to the train real fast. That was the only one that I kind of was like, okay, I didn't like that one that much.
Yeah, you could tell they had him bent down on his knees, and he was just kind of rocking back and forth in front of a green screen. Yeah, that was kind of. I admit, I agree. Only shot I saw that was bad.
Yeah, it's like you did all this horse riding everywhere else. Why couldn't you do this real quick? The story was good. The background of Jonah Hex getting it explained real fast, I liked, because there's probably plenty of people out there that didn't know what the scar was from.
Yeah.
And
they needed to explain.
Yeah, it was like all last time was like, what scar? I love Mick. Again, if Mick ever leaves the show, I'm going to be upset.
You're going to leave?
I'm going to start my hashtag for the first time ever. Bring Mick Mac. So, again, Legends is just fun, and it's something that I look forward to watching and not have to think about. The only thing that came to mind was at the end did they finally tell Sarah that Barry left him a message and that's why they're going back?
Yeah.
Because they still haven't mentioned what Barry said in the...
Yeah. So we're all leaning on the fact that, the fact that it is connected to the crossover.
I totally
Not
forgot.
maybe later to like a season finale type thing.
No. I think
how else would the message get there? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because Barry's not really connected to any of them.
Yeah. And when is Rip coming back, huh?
I thought we were going to get Rip back this episode. I thought he would have been hiding with Jonah and one of them.
Him and Hex were having some sex.
Well,
do you think Rip is tied to the crossover?
Oh, man. I think Rip fans are probably pulling their hair out because, where is he at? And
they're
why
not even caring about looking for him.
And he even canceled his appearance at Phoenix Comic-Con's Fan Fest.
Maybe
so, is he really gone?
Maybe that's why he did it, because he's kind of pissed off. Fuck these
I
guys.
don't think he'd like.
And
fuck
then 2
the
weeks
fans.
later, he was in Rhode Island at a convention.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Who knows?
Maybe he got pulled away to actually film an episode. Maybe that's why he had to cancel his
Had to kill him
appearance.
off real quick.
Fingers crossed for that. No, wait, not killing him off. Fingers crossed for him like filming episodes. I like him.
Yeah, I do too. All right. So my final. Were you done, Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay. My final thoughts were couple things. I think first time around when we had Jonah Hex, it was a decent episode, but when I think Jonah Hex, I think Weird West. And if you're going to borrow a character that's definitely heavily tied into the Weird West culture, you gotta bring the heat in terms of Weird West elements. This episode had it. You had the time pirate, which was crucial. Then you had the dwarf star ore that they used to lace the bullets. I mean, that is a page taken from dime novels. That just there alone, they nailed the Weird West elements. So when it comes from Jonah Hex, I think they got it 100% correct this time around. Visual effects, not bad. I never have issues with their visual effects for the most part. I look at the color grading a lot. A lot of times in these low budget TV shows, when I say low budget, I mean compared to blockbuster films, you see the grading is very light, meaning the way you make things merge together and fit together and look like it's a part of the shot is by grading it. You're coloring it. You're dropping layers of color on top of each other until it blends and it looks good. And a lot of times you don't see that in television show type visual effects. And I think that was the selling point for me with that train shot, which I was not looking forward to seeing that train shot. When I knew what he was going to do, I was getting scared. I was like, please, I don't want this to look bad.
Yeah, that could have been a disaster.
And they did a really good render job with the effect. The color grading was good so that it all meshed and blended well. It looked good. Production design was good. Acting was good. The show, despite giving us some traumatic events, they also give us, the fun and lighthearted feeling. It's a clever show and it's fun, and I hope it continues that way. And of course, the giddy moment at the end, with the little hint or clue of things to come with the crossover, I think kind of was like the icing on the cake for this week. So overall, definitely I think it might be my favorite episode of the season so far, honestly.
Of course, because Jonah was in it.
Could be. I'm definitely biased.
Yeah.
And plus, Team Icy Hot right here. That's my thing now. I'm not going to let that go. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to today's show. You can find all of our shows, past and present, on iTunes as well as Stitcher. Just search DC on CW. Also, the Rain Man digital app. You can take the entire network anywhere you go, no matter where you go. What's that?
I said that's a lot in your pocket.
Yeah. Real lot. More than I have. All right. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Not in the mood for chit-chat. Gotcha. Ready when you are.